Ilan also has this method of needing to destroy himself, other people around him, wreck his life in order to get material for his work. Do you think that writers need to do this? I mean, we do. Definitely, we write better when we're unhappy. When you're very content, it's very difficult to write well, I assume.
I do think that a knowledge of darkness, along with the lighter, more beautiful moments, makes you a better artist.
My sister and I are both reading this book together, and she, in fact, lives in the same area as Sunny. So she
Oh,
has, yeah, so she knows every nook and, every little detail about that area. And what she said to me was that you have this ability to describe places in a way where you make it come alive, house in Allahabad or in Goa. So my question is, like Sonia, do you take notes wherever you go and write down every detail?
absolutely, I do. And I always tell anyone who wants to write that that is really the secret is keeping a diary. And I make notes all the time. And when I was writing The Loneliness of Sonia and Sunny, I had these stacks of diaries to look back at and to draw on. I wrote all the Indian bits in India, the horse cars bits in horse cars, the Goa bits in Goa, the Mexican bits in Mexico.
But there's a lot of Sonia and of rather of you in Sonia. Sonia's
Yes,
writing a story about a boy who wants to live in a tree. Your first book was about a man who lived in a tree.
yes,
Sonia is in New York. Sonia wants to be a writer. So
yes.
tell me, what are the things about Sonia that were absolutely made up and had nothing to do with you?
A lot of things were also made up. So it's not just Sonia Twinkle. A lot of the characters have something of me in them. So does Sunny. And in a way, I think actually Sonia and Sunny both have a lot to do with me. And they're kind of two halves of me. Some of the relationships are fictionalized, not
I
all
hope
of it.
so.
Yes, there's some very, very toxic and abusive relationship in Sonia's life. Some of the other extreme moments of Sonia's life are also fictionalized. There's a very brutal scene in Rajasthan, and but other things are close. As you said, she wants to be a writer and she grapples with many of the questions I've grappled with, but also her relationship with her father. Up on the rooftop in Horse Cars, I drew very much on my father, and the book is dedicated to him.
Okay. Well, that's really beautiful. And even her mother, though her mother is not a writer in this book, but you
Mm.
can almost sense that she could have been. Writers have an inner world, and Seher has this inner world. In fact, I thought it was very interesting. She's almost living within this environment where nobody can really touch her, not Sonia's father, not Sonia.
Yes.
And you live with a mother who's a writer as well. And then I read about the part where you all sit on your veranda in Allahabad and you all start books together.
Yes, that veranda in Allahabad, which belonged to my father's parents. I think I started about Inheritance of Loss
Mm.
and The Loneliness of Sonia and Sunny start, I think, in the same sort of veranda. And my mother's book, Fasting Feasting, also
Mm.
begins on a veranda like that. And I think how funny it is that that veranda is somehow the place where my books begin, my grandparents' veranda. And I never knew my mother's parents, but my father's parents were very vivid to me and very important to my literary life.
But Ilan also has this method of needing to destroy himself, other people around him, wreck his life in order to get material for his work. Do you think that writers need to do this? I mean, we do. Definitely, we write better when we're unhappy. When you're very content, it's very difficult to write well, I assume.
People say that a happy life gives one as much material, and a happy artist is as good as an unhappy one. But Sonia, I think, or Sonia and Ilan make this observation. But I do think that a knowledge of darkness, along with the lighter, more beautiful moments, makes you a better artist. You understand that strain of darkness, and it becomes important in a personal sphere, it becomes important in a political sphere. Seeing things unfold, it makes you a better artist. It's true. You go to psychological depths you could not access otherwise.
I was at a dinner with a couple of other shortlisted Booker Prize winners, and we were all talking about this, about how you need to be a bit unhappy to write. And what do you do when you're actually happy and you've stabilized? I think my philosophy is I try and stay a little fat so I have something to despair about, at least something I can manufacture. Do you think as an artist you have to manufacture or at least go out there and risk experiments in living to be able to gather material for your own work?
I think artists do seek out what they need in their work, which is a bit of a darkness in an artist's soul, right? You are searching for the emotions you need to write a particular scene. You go to places, so you're not living a life to live a happy life. You're living your life to seek out what you need for a story. So you're living to write a book.
Does it also happen that you go through something which is heartbreaking, but as a writer, you're always at a distance from it because there's a part of you that's grieving and there's a part of you that's observing, and there's a third part that will go back and write those things in your diary?
I think that's sort of the breakthrough moment when you know that you are really living as an artist, when you are even going through extremely difficult things and thinking, this is wonderful material, I'm going to write it down. But it also gets you through very difficult things, that sense of discipline, which is built up now over many years for me. So I will write no matter what. I'll get up in the morning and I will sit down at my desk and work. But I realized when my father was dying of cancer, and that was one terrible year. He was diagnosed and he died within the same year. And I realized I could still write. I adored him. It was the most difficult time of my life, but I could still write in that hospital room. And he saw that. And he would say, yes, you should make notes. You're a writer, make notes. That was when I realized that something had happened where I could work through almost any situation.
You start by saying that people don't know what it's like to be lonely in Allahabad. But Meena Foy is terribly lonely. She's one of the most interesting characters in the beginning. So it's not just the loneliness of Sonia and Sunny. Every character in that book, except maybe Satya, who finds, this mate, seems to be inherently lonely. Do you think that as a world, we are becoming so connected, but we are becoming more lonely? Do you have that perception as well?
More crowded the planet is, and the more busy it is, the more alone we each seem to be. How many of us live lives that are in many different places or have been uprooted in some way. And one of the things I'm struck by, at this moment of publishing my book, it's just been out a couple of months, is how many readers are reaching out to me and saying how lonely they are. And there was a time when I was writing this book. At first, I just thought it was going to be a love story between Sonia and Sunny out in the big globalized world. But as I was writing, I realized that I could broaden this idea of romantic loneliness to other kinds of loneliness. And I noticed, just like you were observing, that all these characters come up against some kind of existential loneliness. There's a moment when they glimpse some sort of abyss and some sort of emptiness and anxiety that frightens them. And then I came up with the title, The Loneliness of Sonia and Sunny.
How much do you think that doing your master's helped you as a writer? And what are the things that you felt a master's in writing can teach you and what can't be taught?
I think anyone who's interested in writing, it's a wonderful opportunity because it just gives you time and space. It gives you support. You learn how to read. You learn how to critique. You often meet a professor who's going to help you along the way. That said, you're writing in a kind of almost a group situation. Mm-hmm. So you are always self-conscious. And I think anytime you're writing with conscious of eyes on you, you're not really disappearing into your story. You're very conscious of how people are going to read it. And that's a drawback. So when I exited the writing program, I went back to a very old-fashioned way of writing, my mother's way of writing, of isolating, working alone. So there was no one around and I could really go into the strange, weird, eccentric parts of a story. Because when you're presenting it to a group of people, those bits get ironed out. Someone doesn't understand this, someone has a problem with that, and you tend to undo the strangeness of your work. That's a bit of a drawback, I think.
Tell me a little bit about your writing practice. Do you start from the first page and go all the way to the end? And that's
No,
it, or you go again and
I
again
wish.
and again?
It's a much more mysterious process for me. I work in many different directions. I follow many different thoughts, and then I read through a manuscript. I lift a story out from all the pages that I have. And I never know the end. I never know how the book is going to end. It always remains over the horizon. I can't really see it. I can sense the ending. Maybe I can sense the story, but I don't know it.
My last question. What do you want people to take away from this book? What do you want them to feel?
One of the things I was thinking when I was writing this book is that, we often are told to read these days for political reasons or for educational purposes. People say you read this book to understand the war here or the situation there or this country or that country. But I think we forget that we read for pleasure and we read for beauty, and that beauty saves us. There are many painful parts to this book. It is about loneliness, but I really wanted to write a beautiful love story. Yeah, so I want people to read a beautiful love story and to love reading a work of beauty. That was how I read Garcia Marquez, Love in the Time of Cholera, or Anna Karenina, books like that. And you remember them always. So that's what I wanted to do.
In the long, arduous journey of writing, how do you keep yourself motivated every day and encourage yourself?
If your discipline is strong, it doesn't matter. You go to your desk, you sit there. I actually appreciate writer's block. Look at it the other way around. Don't think of it as an impediment. Think of it as a kind of spiritual journey, a mystical journey. It takes patience, it takes discipline, it takes time. I enjoy those moments of not quite knowing what I'm doing. I mull over I look at my sentences. I don't quite know where the story is going, but I know that I can polish my sentences and work on them and daydream a little bit. I mean, I think of it as a time of daydreaming and just enjoy it. I mean, I feel like writing should be the hardest thing you love to do, that you should both love it, but it should also be an immense challenge.
Any book suggestions that you love?
I'm reading very hungrily because I was not reading that much in the last couple of years on working on this book. It was consuming me. And I'm reading a lot of women authors. I read Alice Munro and Edna O'Brien, Rachel Cusk, Katie Kitamura, Deborah Levy, and I'm finding a lot of inspiration in the voices of contemporary women authors.
What is your medium of writing? Like, as you said that you made so many drafts, and also you keep a paper and pen with you, or you put it on laptop or MS Word?
I write by hand first and write many pages by hand, explore the initial story, just writing a very old-fashioned kind of manuscript, because I find that I can extend my thoughts differently writing on paper. You can actually map your story visually and it becomes like an art piece. You can't do that on a computer where you're constantly having to scroll up and down and you can't see it all spread out. But then eventually I put it onto the computer and I have people start to laugh when I tell them, but I have something called Pages, which I guess is very old-fashioned. But I never bothered to investigate, a new program because it works for me.
The man wants for his survival that his wife and his mother should fight. They should not be on good terms.